All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the one and only Wrestling Otaku channel. Of course, your personification of excellence on YouTube and YWC. We're the best reviews wrestling and your three-time YWC channel of the year. And I'm back here. It is now late night. It is now officially Thursday, May the 15th of 2025. So hope you all have a good week or had a good week so far, and all that kind of stuff. And so I've been, chilling out. Got a day off tomorrow, so I just got a chance to, really chill out and kind of, do what I got to do here. But I want to do this late night video because, of course, we had AEW Dynamite with their special Beach Break edition of AEW Dynamite. Took place earlier on in the night. Of course, on Wednesday, again, it's past midnight, so it's technically Thursday, but you had AEW Dynamite's Beach Break event. Took place earlier on in the night from, emanating, of course, from Chicago, Illinois, and it was another really good show. AEW Dynamite Beach Break was another good show for AEW. We had several really solid matches. We had a tag match featuring, of course, Will Ospreay and Hangman Page teaming up against the Don Callis family. We had Zach Gowen, of all people, wrestling against Ricochet. I haven't seen Zach Gowen. I have not seen Zach Gowen wrestle in a match since 2003. And it's like, when they had Zach Gowen make that appearance on Dynamite last week, it was like, wow, that was crazy. And then they actually had him wrestle here against Ricochet. It was like, wow, dude, I did not expect that. But yeah. So Zach Gowen, dude, years, like freaking, 20 or something years since I last seen him wrestle, and here he is. That was crazy, though. We had a special four-way eliminator match with Tony Storm, of course, non-title match. There was an eliminator match where, if one of the challengers won, they would get a shot at Tony Storm for the AEW Women's World Title, and her challengers were Izumi, New Japan Strong Women's Champion. We had the returning Sky Blue, who was sporting a little bit of a different look. She still looked hot as hell, thick as hell. And then we had Mina Shirakawa, back in AEW, and she was this was her first official match as a contracted member of the AEW women's roster. So Mina Shirakawa actually pulled the upset, got the pin on Tony Storm with a roll-up, so that means Mina Shirakawa will get a future shot at Tony Storm for the AEW women's world title. And it was they showed the graphic after the match that match will take place at Double or Nothing on May 23rd. So that ought to be that ought to be a really good match come Double or Nothing. Tony Storm will defend her AEW women's world title against number one contender Mina Shirakawa. And we had a couple things that happened on the show tonight. Really solid show. Obviously, the big thing was what happened in the main event with that steel cage match for the AEW World's title. Jon Moxley defended against Samoa Joe. Back and forth, physical match, bloody match. Jon Moxley was bleeding all over his face, which, that's pretty prototypical of a Jon Moxley match, especially if it's like a no-holds-barred or no disqualification style, street fight style match. Of course, you're going to have Moxley get busted open. And Samoa Joe was bleeding somewhat as well. The closing minutes of the match, Samoa Joe looked to have the match won, or he was teasing that he was going to have the match won, and we had the interference from the Death Riders, from outside of the cage or whatever, and you had various parties come in and try to intercept. You have Powerhouse Hobbs, you had Will Nightingale, and then eventually an unknown individual, an unknown assailant with a hood on, basically pushed as everything was going on around the ring. An unknown individual with a hood basically slid the briefcase. Of course, the briefcase with the AEW World's title in the cage between the doors or whatever. Pushed it, slid it in the cage to Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley took it, hit Samoa Joe in the face with it, and got the pin for the 1-2-3 and the win. And it was revealed after the match that the individual he took his hood off, and it was revealed to be Gabe Kidd, of all people. Gabe Kidd of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I'm thinking to myself, as soon as I seen that and the announcers basically said who it was, because I didn't recognize him at first, I was like, Gabe Kidd? what the hell is Gabe Kidd doing on Dynamite? And what the hell is Gabe Kidd doing aiding Jon Moxley with in this AEW World's title match? It's like, what the hell? And then afterwards, you saw a big fight break out. You had the Death Riders beating on Hobbs, beating on Joe, and Kenny Omega came out. You had the Young Bucks come out, the Elite, and so obviously, this was it's pretty obvious what this was. The Elite and the Death Riders are, I guess, in cahoots now. And then you had, a big gang attack in the ring of, Samoa Joe and Kenny Omega and all that. And then Swerve Strickland came out, climbed on top of the cage, did the stomp all the way from the top of the cage to a bunch of guys, and then, the Death Riders and the Young Bucks retreated. And then afterwards, Swerve Strickland was in the ring, and he basically called out the Death Riders, called out the Bucks, and he basically said that, hey, why don't we settle this in a Anarchy in the Arena match at Double or Nothing. So a lot of people were saying that, we're going to see some semblance of a multi-man match like that at Double or Nothing, and now it's been made official. We're going to see the return of Anarchy in the Arena at Double or Nothing. It's going to be Swerve and his guys versus the Death Riders and the Elite. So can't wait for that shit. But man, what a finish to the show. What a badass match, badass main event, great finish. And man, I did not expect to see Gabe Kidd on the show. And it's like, my big question coming out of the show is, what is Gabe Kidd's affiliation with the Death Riders and the Elite? I saw some people speculating online. Of course, Gabe Kidd, again, part of New Japan Pro Wrestling, he is a part of that faction, the War Dogs, which is a subgroup of Bullet Club, which, of course, obviously the Young Bucks are synonymous with Bullet Club. They were big part of Bullet Club for a long time. And so, they were the key members, some of the key members of the Bullet Club. They were part of the Bullet Club Elite. So, obviously, I don't know if it has something to do with that, with, if Gabe Kidd and the Young Bucks are affiliated, or some such deal like that. I don't know if Gabe Kidd is going to be coming over to AEW. I'm not sure, or if this is part of, like, obviously New Japan and AEW have, of course, a partnership, and they every now and then you see talent exchanges and stuff like that. You'll see New Japan talents on AEW shows and vice versa. So I'm not sure if it's that, or I'm not sure if it Gabe Kidd is planning to officially come over to AEW. I mean, you never know, because talents from New Japan have come over to AEW before. I mean, look at Will Ospreay and Okada, for example. So you never know, dude. But it was very interesting to see Gabe Kidd basically paying dividends at the finish to this main event steel cage match with Jon Moxley and Samoa Joe for the AEW World title. And I did not expect to see that. I did not expect to see Gabe Kidd on the show, but sure enough, he made an appearance. And so, yeah, going into it, got a lot of questions. I want to see what the reasoning is for Gabe Kidd getting involved in that match, where his allegiances lie. Is it with the Elite specifically? Is it with the Death Riders? Like, I guess we're going to get an explanation down the line, but we got Anarchy in the Arena come Double or Nothing, and that's going to be a badass match, too. That's going to be a fun match, and apparently the ladies are going to get involved, Will Nightingale, and, of course, Marina Shafir of the Death Riders, so yeah, it's going to be crazy. That's going to be that match is going to be all over the place. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be fucking wild, just like the last, couple of Anarchy in the Arena matches were. So can't wait for that, dude. But yeah, the big story to me is the finish to the show. Gabe Kidd makes an appearance on AEW Dynamite on AEW TV, and I'm just curious. I'm curious. Does this mean Gabe Kidd is now with AEW, or he's planning to go to AEW in the near future? You never know. You never know. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what. Again, I guess we'll have to wait for the next show. Also, it's worth noting, they paid tribute during the show, like midway through the show. They paid a special tribute to Sabu, who of course passed away tragically early this weekend. I made a video talking about this, and you saw Taz on commentary make mention of it. He took his glasses off. He was clearly, emotional. Of course, he used to work with Sabu. He and Sabu had that great feud in ECW. Obviously, that's one of his brothers from ECW. Of course, they had, they went up and down the roads, obviously, and so it was very tragic, to lose somebody like that, and you can only imagine how Taz feels about that. So it was good, it was good to see them, paying tribute to paying homage to Sabu in that way, and they're going to do the same thing with Steve Mongo McMichael on Collision this week as well. So it's real nice, of Tony Khan and AEW to do that. But anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much the. My thoughts on it, my thoughts on Dynamite's Beach Break event. So we'll see what happens in the future, man. We'll see what they do on Collision. But anyway, good show, great show. Another good, solid episode of Dynamite this week. Had surprises, had some really solid moments, really good matches, badass matches, and so yeah, for me, another successful edition of AEW Dynamite this week. Can't wait to see what they have in store in the next couple weeks leading up to All In's after that. All In's is in July, and they're hyping that up too. But I'm in the lead up to Double or Nothing, I meant, at the end of this month, or near the end of this month, on May 25th, in another couple weeks. So we'll see what happens, man. But anyway, that's pretty much all I got to say for this video. So thank you for watching. We'll see how they follow this up. We'll see what Gabe Kidd, if Gabe Kidd makes any future appearances on the show. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm very much curious to see what his affiliation is and where his loyalties lie. But anyway, that's all I got to say for this. So thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, give me your thoughts on anything I talked about here, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Appreciate all the support I can get. And with that being said, that's pretty much going to do it, man. So thank you for watching once more. I got some more content, some more videos for you guys really soon. It's just a matter of me recording them and taking the time to record them and so on and so forth. But I do have several videos I want to, do, hopefully for, the remainder of this week going into the weekend, when I get some time to record them. But anyway, that's pretty much all I got to say for this. So thank you once again for watching. And thank you for supporting the channel for those of you who do. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, Wrestling Otaku, I'm out for now. See you guys later. Have a good night. Peace.